Chapter 2 Salt Lake City, Utah. Cutting up the last of the fruit, I put it in a small serving bowl. I've been in Salt Lake for 2 weeks now, and I finally feel comfortable and settled in Jessica's large and stately home. It reminds me of one of the mansions in Biltmore Forest, an old and very prominent section of Asheville. Jessica's home is beautiful. It boasts a large wraparound porch with a swing. There are 3 levels with hardwood floors and cherrywood doors and molding throughout the house. The kitchen is large and airy, with windows stretching to the ceiling. I love the kitchen. It is one of my favorite places in the house, next to the bedroom I sleep in. If I didn't know any better, I would swear Jessica gave me the largest room in the house. My whole apartment could easily fit into the one room, and that's not including the connecting bathroom. But the place I love best in the house is the living room, because in its center sits a beautiful black baby grand piano. I learned to play the piano in the first grade and had stuck with it through the years. Having developed my singing voice in high school, I fell in love with playing and singing. Later in life, the talent lay dormant for a long time, and now that I have access to a piano, I picked it up again. It's like reconnecting with a lost love, and I am giddy every time I play. Everything in Jessica's home is so elegant, it's like I am living in a palace. I have never stayed in a place so lovely, not even close. Still, with all the material things Jessica possesses, she is the kindest, most loving, and down to earth person I have ever known, and I feel blessed to be in her home. I think that's it, Jessica says, taking the plate of muffins over to the small breakfast nook by the corner windows. I think you're spoiling me too much, I tell her as we sit down to eat. Since the day I arrived, Jessica has made every meal special. In the mornings, the table is set with everything from fruit, cheeses, and muffins to bacon and Belgian waffles. Lunches are finger sandwiches, meats, cheeses, and luscious pastries. And dinner is always so full of variety. 3 meals can easily be made from the one. Having grown up poor and standing in government food lines with my mother, and then always having to budget for even cookies as an adult, I am continually overwhelmed with the wealth of food I am now receiving. You deserve to be spoiled, my dear. My smile is guarded. If only I could see the facade of myself no one seems to be able to look past, and I can't stop the negative thoughts from intruding. If you really knew me and everything I've done, you wouldn't feel that way about me. As if Jessica can read my thoughts, she places a hand over mine. You deserve everything that's good in this life, Cicely. Truly you do. She pauses, her voice growing softer. I don't know the full extent of what you have lived through, but you truly are more special than you could possibly know, and I know with all my heart that there are some marvelous things in store for you. I smile, refusing to let the tears come. I have never felt so much love from someone. I can't count the many hours and agonizing moments I spent as a child, wishing for and needing a mother's love, for someone to hug me and tell me everything would be okay. I squeeze Jessica's hand. Thank you for being so good to me, I say softly, swallowing hard at the lump pressing in my throat. No need to thank me, dear. This is what this life is all about. We enjoy a leisurely breakfast, talking about various things. I love the time I've spent with Jessica and have come to learn so much about her life. Jessica was born and raised in Melbourne, Australia. When she turned 25, she moved to Salt Lake City to attend college. Her younger sister and 2 brothers still live in Australia with their families. Though her family comes to the United States every now and then to visit her, the visits she enjoys most are the ones from her favorite nephew, Ingo. At least 3 or 4 times a year, he pops in for a week-long visit. She cherishes those times. I noticed several pictures of him in Jessica's bedroom when I first arrived and was surprised by how handsome he is. To Jessica, Ingo is the son she never had, and she loves him very much. I can't help thinking of how fortunate he is to have Jessica as an aunt. However, I am also reaping the blessings of having this loving woman as my friend. Having finished eating, we clean up and put everything away. Then I quickly touch up my makeup and check my outfit once more before leaving to catch the bus to work. Taking in my reflection, a shy smile curves my lips. A couple of days after I arrived, Jessica took me to the boutique and introduced me to two of the women I would be working with. They were friendly and very welcoming. They gave me a tour of the shop, helped me to get familiar with the place, and went over what my job would entail. While we were there, Jessica had me try on about a dozen of the outfits she sold there and bought them all for me despite my strong protest. I told her they were too expensive and I didn't want her spending money on me. I have never been accustomed to people giving me things and I didn't know how to accept Jessica's gifts. She simply replied, "My dear, I have enough money and more than I could possibly spend in this lifetime, and it makes me very happy to spend it on the people I care about." Then she promptly ended the discussion. So whenever I go to work, I am a walking billboard for Jessica's boutique. But the clothes are so beautiful, I don't mind one bit. Today, the springtime weather is comfortably warm, so I've chosen to wear a tan, knee-length, crocheted sundress with a matching shrug and gladiator sandals. The outfit actually looks nice on me. My hair is pulled up in a bun, and wispy bangs lay lightly against my forehead. The sunlight always brings out the highlights in my auburn hair, and each time I leave the house, Jessica calls out to me, "You look just like a fashion model, only healthier." I always laugh and wave, figuring I will just humor her. I am nowhere near being model material. Jessica continually urges me to drive her car to work, but I insist on taking the bus, just in case something should come up and she needs the car. I have a North Carolina driver's license, but I have never owned a car and am used to taking the bus, and the part of the avenues in which we live isn't too far from downtown, so sometimes I even walk part of the way. Gazing up at the beautiful, elegant old homes is one of my favorite pastimes because they remind me of Asheville, only now I am actually living in one instead of dreaming about it. The fact that I am living in Utah is a dream in itself, and I still pinch myself sometimes. Today I am the first to arrive at the shop. Lifting my eyes to the clear blue sky, I silently thank God for blessing me with this new job and life. I absolutely love working at the boutique. Fashion is still kind of new to me, but it truly feels good to not only sell beautiful clothes, but to wear them as well. I have never owned so many things or worked in a nicer place. Pulling the key from my purse, I quickly unlocked the door. Having opened the store for business before, I know what to do to prepare for the day. I still can't believe Jessica put so much trust in me. When I talked to one of my coworkers about it a few days before, she told me that Jessica is just that way. She loves and trusts many people. To be included in that group is an honor, and I am determined to never let her down. About an hour after opening the shop, the phone rings. I am always hesitant about answering the phone, but it is an unavoidable part of my job. Jessica's boutique, this is Cicely. Hi, it's Wendy. Hey, you don't sound good. I know, I think I've caught the flu. I was going to try to come in, but I can't even stand up. She really does sound miserable, and having had the flu myself a couple of times, I can definitely empathize. You just rest and don't worry. I can handle things here. Are you sure? You won't even be able to take a lunch break if you're alone. Don't worry about me. I can always have something delivered and eat when I get a chance. You just get some rest and get better, okay? Okay, I'm really sorry about this. It's totally fine. I'll be okay. Thanks, Cicely. You're welcome. Hanging up the phone, I sigh deeply and gear up to go solo. I actually do feel pretty confident about handling things. Wednesdays are usually slow, and I've only had a couple of customers since opening anyway. Besides, if it gets too busy, I can always call Jessica. I have a sandwich and a drink delivered from the deli down the street, and I am able to take a bite or two in between customers. It feels great being responsible for the boutique, and after finishing the final paperwork this evening, I am truly happy about the way the day went. I called Jessica to let her know how business was and tell her when I will be leaving. She always makes me promise to do this, so she will know when to expect me, and it helps her to not worry. Though I actually love the fact that for the first time in my life, someone cares enough to worry about me. It's nice to know I matter to someone. Wendy called in sick today, I tell her. She has the flu. Yes, I know. She called you? Yes, she called me this morning after talking with you because she worried about you being there alone, but I knew you could handle it. Her confident words makes me smile. Well, I appreciate your faith in me. I would have been worried if I were you. I almost laugh at the thought of actually owning a business. Jessica chuckles. I knew you would do well, my dear. I have complete faith in you. I'll be home in a bit. You have your cell with you? I do. Remember to call me when you're on your way. Yes, Mother. I can hear her laughing as I hang up the phone. A short while later, after ending the call, my Jota confidence slowly fades as the haunting feelings that have become my unwanted companion begin to resurface. I hate not being able to keep my thoughts in the present, and I wish I could leave the negativity behind. If I could only forget the past and move on. If I could truly believe it doesn't matter, that none of it matters. Hanging my head, I squeeze my eyes shut. I have to get over my past. Otherwise, how can I ever look to the future? Chapter 3. Ingo smiles contentedly as he parks the rented gray BMW in front of his aunt's home. He hasn't seen Jessica in about 5 months, and he has missed her terribly. He didn't call to tell her he was coming because he loves surprising her, and she is always overjoyed to see him. Turning off the engine, he gets out and hauls his luggage up the front steps. When Jessica opens the door, she releases a delighted squeal. Ingo, my boy, it's so good to see you. She immediately throws her arms around him, and he leans down to accommodate her short frame, soaking in her warm embrace. It's good to see you too, Aunt Jessica. I've missed you. I've missed you too, she said, patting his face. Well, come on in. Let's get you settled. Then you can fill me in on what's been going on with the family. Ingo follows his aunt up to the top floor, then back to the bedroom that has become his second home. Looking around the cozy room, he smiles. Nothing has changed. It's still home sweet home. Deciding to wait and unpack later, he places his luggage on the bed, anxious to visit with his favorite aunt. He has always felt a special closeness to Jessica. Not only is she the most down-to-earth person he knows, she is also one of the few people who never judges him or tries to interfere in his life in any way. Being 30 years old, a successful photographer, and very wealthy, Ingo's family has determined it is time for him to settle down. Everyone he knows seems to be in cahoots with his family in search of a bride for him, with the exception of his best friend who lives in Italy, and they have all done their fair share of matchmaking. But not Jessica. She understands him better than anyone. She truly knows his heart and the kind of woman it will take to claim it. Sometimes he thinks Jessica knows him better than he knows himself. Still, she never interferes or tries to push her opinion on him, and because of this, Ingo respects her tremendously. Jessica carries 2 glasses of lemonade over to the table. Now tell me, what's been going on with you? Ingo smiles. Oh, nothing new, really. Same old things. I'm still peddling my photos and dodging matchmakers. I don't doubt you're doing wonderfully with your photography. You do well at everything you set out to do, and I'm sure the family wouldn't know what to do if they couldn't play multiple yentas. He laughs. Aunt Jessica, I don't know what I would do without you. You always know exactly what to say to make me feel better about life. She pats his hand gently. That's what I'm here for. Now, I noticed you brought an extra bag with you this time. Does that mean I'm going to have a longer visit with you? That's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about. He pauses, pushing a hand back through his wavy hair. I guess I'm in need of a change. There is no way Ingo can explain the restlessness he is feeling and has been feeling for some time now. He needs to do something, but he has no clue what exactly. He has a beautiful home in Australia and life is good, but for some reason, he still doesn't feel settled. I was wondering if I could stay with you for a while, just until I decide what I want to do. Jessica smiles but doesn't answer right away. Ingo watches her close her eyes, remaining quiet for a few seconds, and wonders if there is going to be a problem with him staying. Then she opens them and again smiles at him, and he wonders at the sudden twinkle in them. I think your staying is a marvelous idea. It would make me very happy. He heaves a small sigh of relief. At the moment, there truly is no place he would rather be. Jessica's home is home to him, even more so than his own. Thank you, Aunt Jessica. I'll keep from underfoot and try not to be too much of an inconvenience. Nonsense, she said, waving a hand. Walking over to the cupboard, she takes down some dishes to set the table for dinner. You could never be an inconvenience, love. I'm just glad you're staying. So am I. It will just be until... Ingo stops speaking as his attention shifts to the woman entering the kitchen. Jessica turns, a wide smile lighting her face. Hello, my dear. Come and sit with us. She places a casserole, several side dishes, and a basket of rolls on the table, continuing to smile as the woman approaches. Hello, Cicely says, taking a seat at the table, her eyes never breaking contact with Ingo's. Ingo is motionless, unable to tear his gaze away from her. She is absolutely the most beautiful thing he has ever seen, and his hands suddenly itch to hold his camera and capture her on film. He is gawking like an idiot, and he knows it, but he can't help it. Continuing to stare, he takes in her every feature. During his years as a photographer, he has taken his share of photos of beautiful women, but none of them hold a candle to the one before him now, even with the slight sadness in her eyes. None have even come close, and the silky tone of her greeting only adds to her allure. It is obvious to Ingo that she is surprised by his presence, but he also sees recognition in her eyes. Maybe she has seen one of Jessica's photos of him. Watching her study him, he wonders what she is thinking and takes a mental account of his features. His hair is a wavy light brown with blonde highlights, and his eyes are a steel gray. Women find him handsome, but this is the first time a woman's thoughts really mattered. He watches her pull her eyes away and quickly glance at Jessica. Jessica clears her throat. Cicely, I would like you to meet my nephew, Ingo. Ingo, this is my dear friend, Cicely Matthews. It is a pleasure to meet you, he says, standing and extending his hand, smiling as she shakes it timidly. She is tall, he had noticed, maybe 5'9" or 10. At 6'4", he still towers over her. It's a pleasure to meet you, too. Sighing inwardly and allowing the tone of her silky voice to wash over him, he reluctantly releases her hand and sits back down across from her. After Jessica pronounces a blessing on the food and they have begun to eat, Ingo asks his aunt, "How do you two know each other?" "I met Cicely when I visited North Carolina in January." The two women exchanged smiles. "We hit it off immediately and spent some time together while I was there. I invited her to come and stay for a while, hoping that she would come to love it here so much she would want to stay. She has only been here for a couple of weeks, and we've had a splendid time. I feel like I've known her forever." Ingo turns his gaze back to Cicely. "And how do you like Salt Lake so far?" "I love it," she answers, again meeting his eyes. "Utah is very beautiful, and Jessica has been wonderful, almost like a mother to me. I feel very welcome and fortunate to be here." "It is I who am fortunate," Jessica says. "I only hope you will choose to make this your home." Ingo watches the change in Cicely's expression and can almost sense her discomfort at being the center of attention. He wonders if she has always been this way or if it is just his presence. She looks like she is ready to escape, and she has hardly eaten. This is not good, not good at all. She stands and picks up her plate, her food barely touched. "Well, I guess I'll leave you two alone to visit." "Oh, please don't go," Ingo says, standing quickly, trying not to sound desperate to keep her there, but failing miserably. "Stay and talk with us for a while." There is indecision in her eyes. He doesn't try at all to hide the hopeful look in his, and he senses her warming slightly. "I don't want to intrude on your visit together." "You're not intruding," Jessica says. Ingo again notices the twinkle in his aunt's blue eyes, and for the first time ever, he sees her in matchmaker mode. He almost laughs because it is so unlike her. When Cicely sits down again, Ingo begins asking her questions about herself. Her answers are brief, and he gains no insight into her life at all. Glancing at his aunt, it is obvious she has picked up on Cicely's evasiveness as well. He wishes she would open up more and hopes in time she will. Ingo tells her about his job as a freelance photographer and talks with them about his two older brothers and the sheep station they own and run together. And once again, he has Jessica in stitches as he talks about his parents as well as his aunt and uncle's matchmaking escapades. Ingo loves the way Cicely listens to him intently and hopes his own carefree nature won't overwhelm her. He has always been one to embrace life with both hands, and she seems more reserved than any woman he's ever met before. But when she smiles, it lights up his whole world and fills him with warmth. Cicely finally muffles a yawn, and he accepts that their evening is drawing to a close. "I think I'll turn in now," she says, standing. She takes her plate over to the sink. He takes his over as well. "It has been a pleasure visiting with you." "It's been fun," she tells him. "I'll see you both in the morning." She turns to leave. "Hey, Cicely." He stops her with a light touch on her arm. "Are you busy tomorrow? I mean, if you aren't, I would really like to take you out. That is, if you don't have any plans." She stares at him blankly. He has caught her off guard again in a major way. I have to work. That won't be a problem," Jessica cuts in quickly. "I was thinking about going into the shop tomorrow for a while anyway. So why don't you two go out and have some fun?" Ingo watches Cicely's eyes widen and almost feels guilty for putting her on the spot. Almost. "But," she sputters. "No buts," Jessica says. "You should get out for a bit. It will be good for both of you." Cicely finally turns to Ingo and pauses before saying, "Sure, I would be happy to go out with you." "Great," he says with an easy smile, attempting to keep his excitement level down. Inside, he is almost flying apart. "Then I will see you in the morning." "Okay." She smiles slightly. "Good night, Ingo." "Good night, Cicely." She stares at him a moment longer before finally turning away. "Good night, Jessica." "Good night, dear. Sleep well." Jessica watches Ingo's eyes following Cicely as she leaves the kitchen, warmed by the way things are going between the two. If ever two people produce fireworks, it was those two. Ingo releases a sigh as he sits down at the table again. I don't know how it happened, Aunt Jessica, but I'm pretty sure she just took my heart upstairs with her. I think I knew that, she agrees, unable to mask the sadness in her voice. What is it, Auntie? I have grown very fond of Cicely, and I have been so happy having her here. But she seems to be surrounded by a wall I can't break through, no matter how hard I try. What do you mean? Jessica sighs deeply. She is such a wonderful person, but I think she's carrying around a lot of unnecessary guilt. She pauses, rubbing her eyes. From what Cicely has told me, and you as well, she's had a pretty hard life, being raised by an alcoholic mother and all, but I think there is more to it than she will say. I don't know the full extent of what she has gone through, but I do know this. For some reason, she can't seem to let go of the past. She seems to handle her childhood okay, but I think it's the choices she made later in life that she's having problems with. She feels unworthy of anything good happening to her, even though that part of her life no longer matters. I think she feels that she will never be good enough. Jessica wipes her eyes again as more tears fill them. She has never said it, but I can sense her feelings of worthlessness, and at times I can see it in her eyes. That is part of the reason I offered her the job at the boutique while she's here. I told her it was because I knew she wanted to pay her own way, which was true, but I also did it to help her somehow feel better about herself. Ingo's eyes drift to the kitchen doorway, his thoughts following Cicely upstairs. How could someone so beautiful and incredible, how can she feel that way about herself? I don't know, but I do know she couldn't be more wrong. I've witnessed firsthand how marvelous she is. She just needs to learn to see the good in herself and not dwell on the past. Ingo silently contemplates his decision to stay with Jessica. At first, he couldn't understand why he felt such a strong need to be there. He'd even thought about staying with his best friend Adagio in Italy, but it just didn't feel right. Adagio had been disappointed when he decided not to come to Italy, but said he understood. He told Ingo he needed to do what he felt was best. At that time, Ingo didn't know what was best. For the next couple of weeks, he still couldn't dismiss the urgent need to stay with Jessica. Now he understands why. Pondering this a moment, a slow smile spreads across his face. I don't know when or how, Aunt Jessica, but I know I'm supposed to be here for Cicely. It might sound crazy, but I feel we are meant to be together, that I am meant to be here for her. I feel it too, Jessica replies, her voice soft. I feel it too. Unable to sleep, I stare up into the darkness, still unable to believe I agreed to go out with Ingo. Of course, Jessica hadn't given me much of a choice. I had to accept, and as much as I tried to deny it, deep down I wanted to. I haven't dated anyone since leaving the party life, and even before then, it wasn't what you could really call dating because it never went beyond the night. I shudder as terrible memories come back, and I wonder if I can go through with this. Ingo is so good, everything that I am not, and the last thing I need is to fall in love with him and risk being hurt, or hurting him. If I am not careful, that's exactly what will happen, and the falling part won't be very hard. Already he has found a place in my heart I didn't want found. Closing my eyes, I picture his handsome face, hear his thick Australian accent singing in my ears, and see his kind eyes. Taking in the wonder of our visit for a moment, I finally sigh, shaking my head. He's too good for me anyway, I decide. Or rather, I'm not good enough for him. He needs someone good and wholesome and clean. He needs someone pure, someone that is all the things I'm not. Still, even with all the negative thoughts running through my head, deep within the secret reaches of my heart, love is the one thing I want more than anything, to be loved by someone so deeply and completely that none of the things in my past will matter. I just don't know if it's even possible for me to open up and trust someone enough. Giving in to the urge to do something I haven't done as often as I should, I get up, slip to my knees by the bed, and silently pour my heart out to God because I desperately need comfort. Ending my prayer, I stay on my knees a moment longer before climbing back into bed. Oh, how I long for some peace in my heart concerning the past. Sighing, I make a final request before closing my eyes. Please help me get through tomorrow.